Okay, hello and welcome to everyone. We will now have the good opportunity to concern ourselves with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. We can also say that we will have the opportunity to concern ourselves with the present moment experiencing, to concern ourselves with the truth of not someone, not some place, not some time. So a very open and interesting experience. All of life is like that, but sometimes we need to join for the group meditation or see the monk or go to the temple or attend the meditation retreat or put ourselves out there to volunteer, to donate, to do good deeds, to kind of realize this situation, this interesting human, dynamic, real life situation that we find ourselves to be in. Somehow we've got to be woken up to it. A lot of people have difficulties practicing meditation or getting involved with what we can say like real spirituality or real meditation because we have a fridge mindset. We have a TikTok mindset. We have a YouTube mindset. We have a consumption-based mindset. On one hand, that is like an instant gratification mindset and also this feeling of privilege, so that there are all these conditions that are very comfortable and suitable for us, right? The condition of our room, the condition of our house, the condition of the environment, that the temperature can be the way we want it to be. We can keep our body clean. We can be around the people we want to be around and avoid the people that we don't want to be around. We can get any content. All right, you want to visit Africa? Open up your phone. You want to visit the Philippines or South Korea? Open up your phone. There you are. And whether or not you think about it this way, and whether or not you really find yourself to be like stuck or lost in that way of being a lot of the time, this is your home. This is the environment that you find yourself in. This is the society that we find ourselves to be in. So it's going to affect your mind on very subtle levels. And then when you come to a place like this, or when the opportunity arises to meditate or to listen to someone that has some wisdom or some truth, it's not that you will make a decision that, oh, this isn't for me, or this isn't the right time, or, this isn't what I was looking for. It's that your habit energy will come to a stop, and then what will it say? This isn't my fridge. This isn't stimulating. This isn't me getting what I want. And your kind of lizard brain or monkey brain or whatever kind of human brain you want to call it will make justifications, make a reason, right? Oh no, I can't go to the meditation group. No, I can't listen to the Buddhist teachings. No, I can't listen to the guided meditation. No, I can't go for a walk because of this, this, and that. And we believe in it all the time. We are believing in the created truth. We are believing in the stories of our life, rather than stepping into life itself. rather than stepping into having a lived experience where there might be success, there might be failure, there might be status, there might be disrepute. Okay? You might get praised, you might get blamed. That's life, but we need to step into it. Otherwise, we're just kind of drifting around. Many people who get into meditation also find themselves in this problem. They're not actually penetrating. They're not actually stepping into the truth of the present moment experience. They aren't developing insight. They're just drifting. Drifting into sleepiness, drifting into peacefulness, drifting into relaxation, okay? Drifting into a tight, attached meditation. And the more you get involved, the more subtle things become, right? It's like the more that you volunteer, the more that you donate, the more that you practice generosity, the more subtle the situation becomes, right? How are we going to work with this person in particular? How are we going to work with this situation in particular? Not according to your desire, not according to your ego or according to you getting what you want. According to generosity, according to offering out, according to helping out. Okay? But when we first start to get involved, when we first start to step into the meditation path or the spiritual path, whatever you want to call it, the path of being a good person, you need to be ready to listen and follow. You need to be ready to be useful, right? It's like that mindset of, I'm sure everyone here is somewhat, maybe not homeless and destitute and kind of lost, right? And living in the streets. I don't think anyone here is in that situation. But we're well off. We have some resources and we're walking in the street and we see someone who's homeless or we see someone who's destitute. They're sitting in the street begging. You think that's a good time? Even what often gets put in the media is, this person's driving a Range Rover or a BMW, and then they're going to the street corner to beg. Well, those people aren't living good lives either. Of course, that's not representative of the homeless problem. That's just a kind of misinformation. Okay? So we see someone on the street who's destitute, suffering, going through difficulty, right? Whether they're a gypsy or whatever they are, whoever they are, a wanderer, a hippie, a drug addict, an immigrant, whoever they are, they're on the street, they're suffering, they're going through difficulty. And then we think in our mind, well, I could be generous, I could help out, but what's this person really going to do with what I offer them, and is this person really deserving, and, is it the right time? At the beginning, you just need to give. You just need to show up. You just need to listen. Because otherwise, your ego is going to prevent you from having an experience. It's going to prevent you from experiencing this release of giving up, giving away. And we start by giving away what we can give away that is precious and valuable to us. So for most of us, that means you start to give away your money, donate your money in some way, and also donate your possession in some way. We can also say to donate your time, but you need to be very careful with this because for a lot of people, this becomes donating your intellect. And that's what we're getting into the weeds now. Oh, I'm going to donate my advice. I'm going to call up my friend and give them advice. What's worse than that? Someone calling us up to give us advice. Oh my gosh. Doesn't get any worse than that, right? So we can donate our time, but we can donate our listening, our presence, our attention, because our attention is valuable. But our thinking, our thoughts, our opinions, our preferences, our views, it takes quite a long time for those to become valuable. It takes quite a lot of deep work. It takes quite a lot of inner work for our intellect, right? Especially when it comes to interpersonal things or helping people with their mind. Mostly, if someone asks us for our help or asks us for advice, now we can share with them. Otherwise, we just listen. We just attend to, right? It's like if you call up your grandma or your family member or your friend, that's a little bit difficult. So they have difficulties with being around people. You talking to them is less important than you just listening and being there with them and offering your presence, offering your heart, offering your mind, your true mind, your awareness mind, not the thinking mind. So when we start to exercise our generosity, we are practicing to give away something that is very practically and very simply precious to us, something we're clinging onto, something that we're holding onto. And actually, from the Buddhist perspective, we understand that when we are clinging on to things that we like, those things are impermanent. By their nature, they are impermanent. So by their nature, they are unsatisfactory. Yes, you're getting what you want. You are holding on to what you like. But the essence of that is that it's temporary. So the more that you attach to that, and even in the moment of enjoying it, there's an unsatisfactoriness to it, even though it's very, very subtle with a lot of things, right? But over time, it becomes more clear, your habit energies of attachment are running your life. So when we start to practice generosity, just simple, just direct, there's nothing to think about. It's not Buddhism, it's not spirituality, it's got nothing to do with nothing. Okay? You take something that is simple and you give it away, such as your money or your possession, or you use your possession for others, you use your money for others, you use your attention for others, right? You're listening, you're volunteering, your body. Mostly your body is valuable, so you can donate your body to help clean up around the house or help your friend move or help volunteer at a homeless shelter. Like anything, okay? When you start to exercise that, you develop this power of generosity, and that means you develop this power of detachment. You develop this power of giving away what you're grasping onto, what you're stuck on. And when we have a habit of grasping, it means that not only do we grasp onto the pleasurable things, but we also grasp onto the negative things in this way of trying to push them away, right? Trying to get rid of them. When we're living like this, we're wasting a lot of energy and we tend to not live a meaningful life. And questions such as, what is reality? What is truth? What is freedom? Right? What is the heart? Become largely irrelevant. We may entertain those ideas for a moment. We may say, oh, what's the truth? Or what is reality? Or what's my heart mind? What's at the core of my being? We may bring it up for a second and kind of entertain it, but then we go back to what? To our grasping, to our desire, to our fear. And this way of just living according to grasping and desire and fear, right? Trying to get what we want and avoid what we don't want, it leads us to live in such a way that's not particularly meaningful, that is mostly about ourselves. And this doesn't allow us to be nourished by life. It doesn't allow us to make use of most of what life is. And most of life is not about you. And we can say even more directly that most of life is not about someone in particular. Most of life is not about getting what you want or avoiding what you want. And your very being, your very presence, right? Everything in your life is not just about you. So when we only emphasize our desire and our fear and our ability to get what we want and avoid what we don't want, we tend to live shallow, meaningless lives that isolate us from community. Now, when you live a life like that, anxiety is very accessible. Depression is very accessible. Complicated, non-practical thinking is very accessible and natural to arise because we're living this hyper self-fixated, self-focused, desire, fear-based lifestyle. So what's the turning point? How do we start to deal with it? Okay, Buddhism is great. Monk life Sangha is great. Bhante is great. This event is great. Okay, that's fine. Let's see what you can use. I became a Buddhist monk. I walked these steps. I got to this point where I am now. But don't put your power outside of this moment. Don't put your power to change your life outside of your normal, ordinary, everyday life. So how can you practice generosity now? How can you practice generosity in your everyday, normal, ordinary life? We start to prioritize it, just like we prioritize our identity, or we prioritize the work that we do, or we prioritize the country that we are from. Start to prioritize generosity and start to prioritize doing good deeds, being a good person. If you start to prioritize that, if you start to plant this intention, these seeds, right, in your heart mind, this is going to guide you. This is going to direct you to go on the actionable path for you in your normal, ordinary, everyday life. And that is what is essential. That's what we need to become acquainted with, because spirituality, Buddhism, meditating, goodness gracious knows what is vague, may not be actionable for you, may not be reliable for you, may not be workable for you. So you need to get a hold of something that's workable and start stepping forward. And this is inclusive of meditation and Buddhism and whatever spirituality is. Zen, the truth, the ultimate nature. Okay? And you're here, you're a part of this community, you're a part of this Sangha. So you have a very direct, stable, continuous access point. If you're here in the Discord, you're a part of a online meditation center, an online Dharma community. Continuous, 24/7, 365. So the resources are here, but the point is that you find this route to step forward right here and right now and in your normal, ordinary, everyday life. And we mainly do that through the prioritization of the right intention, the right action, the right thinking. And that is to do good, to be generous, to offer out and to share out. How do you become skillful in anything? How do you become a good teacher? By teaching. How do you become good at being good and doing good? By doing it. How do you lose weight? By walking, by moving. Now, right? You go for a walk now. I like to say, people become so quickly and easily discouraged with meditation, especially when it's not spoon-fed for them, right? When they're not given this just hyper materialistic, guided meditation app, chakras ringing and bells sounding, and there's some person doing angel talk in the background. I'm not attacking anybody personally. We all have that inside of ourselves. We all have starting points, the mind that appreciates that. But when it comes to real meditation, when it comes to kind of showing up to this reality body, this effervescent, overflowing life experience, this blood bag that we find ourselves to be responsible for, people get discouraged very, very quickly, right? Why am I, what's going on? Why don't I feel good? Why am I not have a yogi or something? This doesn't even feel good. What's going on? The best time to meditate is when you're already meditating. Okay? The moment that you start, you're in it, you're doing it. The best time to go for a walk is when you're walking. The best time to start healing and facing that depression, that anxiety, that trauma is when you're facing it. So start. Right? Start being mindful of your breathing. Start being generous. Start doing good deeds. Failure is how success takes place. Failure is how success takes place, right? The only good meditators are bad meditators. You don't become a good meditator, you don't become skillful at meditation without being a bad meditator, without being an unskillful meditator. Now, to get involved in this path, firstly, we recognize that there is a suffering, let's say. This is, Bhante, this is not satisfying to me. Yeah, we're all in that situation. We are not satisfied. I am not satisfied by my body and mind. I am not satisfied by my environment. I've got a thirst that can't be quenched. All right? There is suffering. Bhante, there's suffering in my life. Me too. Okay, number two, I don't want to say that the cause of suffering is desire. But what I want to say is that everyone here has exercised to their maximum capabilities, getting what they want and avoiding what they don't want. Has it worked? Is your thirst quenched? Are you satisfied? Do you feel free? Do you feel that this way of living, to get what you want, to go to the fridge and eat that snack, and to avoid what you don't want, is working? Does it work? No, it doesn't work. We do it all the time. And we are the, modern people, American people, Western people, middle class people. Okay? We are more successful in this practice than all of the kings and queens and emperors throughout history, of getting what we want and avoiding what we don't want, with hot water and bathtubs, and we've also got, like wizard powers. We can watch whatever we want. We can go to India, Egypt at the flip of a button. Does it work? No, it doesn't. Now, entertain the notion that there is an ending to suffering. Entertain the notion that even though you are enslaved, even though you are trapped, even though you are stuck, even though you are traumatized, even though you are depressed, even though you are anxious, even though that happened and this happened and tomorrow, I've got to go to court. I might go to jail tomorrow, right? This kind of thing. Even though freedom is possible, even in the midst of that difficulty, uncomfortableness, suffering, cancer diagnosis, whatever it is, freedom is possible. the ending of suffering is possible. Okay? And then that there is a path to freedom. There is a path to ending suffering. All right? In Buddhism, we call that the Eightfold Path, but the Eightfold Path is a little bit inaccessible. It's a little bit elitist. All right? The Eightfold Path is elitist. But the three aspects or the dimensions of the Eightfold Path are not. Sila, Samadhi, Panya. That Sila is virtue. Prioritize and emphasize in your life to be a good person. How to understand this? Well, if you do good, you feel good. What kind of people do you want around you? You want people who are vividly good, vividly virtuous, vividly trustworthy, vividly, you can communicate with them because they are generous and patient and open-minded. And when they make a mistake, they are ready to step back and, let's talk about this. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt myself. So that the foundation of ending this suffering is becoming virtuous, is becoming a good person. Now, for Western people, for a modern people, for American people especially, we do not believe in virtue. We are not in a society that believes in virtue. We do not believe in morality as a society. Right? I mean, we can do the wiggle room. We can have a discussion about it, but who are the people we put in positions of power? Who are the leaders of our society? Celebrities, who are professional deceptors, okay? Professional fake people. And I'm not saying movies and TV shows aren't great and it's not wonderful. It's art. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. Celebrities, also, artists, music artists, all these people, and politicians. Okay, and then you've got policemen, you've got the military, you've got, right? I mean, that's about it. And the wealthy people, hyper wealthy people. None of these people are representing virtue. None of these people are encouraging virtue or morality. They're encouraging wealth accumulation, power, and entertainment. And violent force, right? Military and police, violent force. So we are not in a society that is set up to encourage us or support us in what is virtue, what is morality. So that is the starting point. And we have to digest that. We have to accept that. For me, growing up, I had to make a lot of mistakes. I had to go through a lot of suffering internally and externally. And eventually, I had to take this big ball of mental habit energy and mental accumulation that did not know what virtue was, and I had to run myself into the ground. I had to, run myself into mental illness, depression, anxiety, mental instability, paranoia, schizophrenia. Call it what you want. Okay, everything. And then using cigarettes and alcohol and, whatever I could get my hands on to try and numb this mind. Because I didn't know what virtue was, didn't mean anything in my life. You know what cures mental illness? Virtue. Now, not everything can be taken care of in the way that we want it to. So that's not what I'm trying to say. But if you do good, how do you feel? You feel good. If you do bad, how do you feel? You feel bad. And also, it's not just about you. It's not just about yourself. So when we have 13-year-old kids or younger that are growing up in broken homes with unstable families, without support, without any attention, without any mentorship, without any guidance, right? With parents who are sick or mentally unstable or suffering or just don't have the bandwidth to be there for them. And then the parents take that kid who's depressed and anxious to a psychiatrist, and that psychiatrist sees that kid for 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. Maybe they do longer consultations for younger people. And then they prescribe that kid SSRIs and they say, oh, this kid has a brain disorder. This is a genetic abnormality of anxiety or depression. Is that what it is? No. It's a lack of skillfulness in the home. It's a lack of proper valuation of virtue to a certain degree. Doesn't always work out, but this is a mainstay. This is a fundamental point. So we do not necessarily understand what it means to be virtuous or what it means to be moral. So how do we find that out? How do children learn how to be skillful in terms of their mental, emotional, physical regulation, not only as it's concerned with themselves, but also the world? By having mentors, by having role models, by having adults, healthy attachment relationships to adults in the community. You can't learn from other kids, and you can't learn through just entertainment. So we need to have mentors and guides and people to speak to us, and we need to have some trust, not just skepticism, trust enough to put things into action, trust enough to try. That's it. Trust enough to try, and then we build faith to guide us and encourage us and give us a structure for, okay, what do we do? What do I do? Okay, so I have some recommendations. I have some sharing points that have helped me. And you need to use what is available for you, just like a child needs to learn from, you have to. It's not up to your decision or your idea about it. A child's brain has to develop according to the people that are around that child. There's no other option for them. There's no other option for you either. You've got to use what's in front of you. As many as you know, I deal with, mentoring a lot of young men. Okay, doing group calls and Q&As and lectures, things like that. And in some sense, they have this mindset that they're, this entertainer, Andrew Tate, or, there's this guy Hamza, who's a much more wholesome influencer, self-improvement influencer. But anyway, this celebrity or this self-improvement influencer is going to fly down and hold their hand and take them, to fix them up and to get them on the right path. That's not going to happen. Bante's here. You're going to have to talk to Bante about it. All right? And in the same way, and even the worst way, which kind of points to the degeneracy of our society, there's this whole generation of kids that are looking to entertainers as role models, right? Looking to rappers as role models. And the only reason I single out rappers is because they're like some of the best artists out there, lifestyle artists, right? Well, NLE Choppa isn't your role model. Isn't a role model, isn't a life coach or a Gucci Mane or, Riff Raff or whoever it is. Now, they may have some good points and they may be wonderful, worthwhile artists. We can appreciate them. We can value them, right? But that's not a role model for you. That's not a life guide for you. That's an artist. That's an entertainer. It's a totally different thing. So we need to be ready to use what's in front of us, and that's the inconvenient truth. We need to be ready to use the imperfect parent or coach or etc. Whoever is around us, we need to be ready to use them to learn and grow and mature. Whatever is accessible, we've got to be ready to use it. And in the same way, we need to be ready to use our suffering and our difficulty and our not ideal environment and conditions to learn and grow and develop. And if we have this core of generosity, if we have this core of virtue, if we have this core of being a good person and doing good and being good, well, we will be safe and we will be strong to use everything, anything. So I have some recommendations, some guideline we can start with to put on our wall for 5 guidelines for living, to follow precept. Don't kill. That also means look at meat consumption. Do not steal. That also means don't snoop. Don't take what's not offered. I think about like People magazine and the celebrity gossip and all that stuff, the paparazzi, complete waste of time, complete nonsense, right? Don't take what's not offered from someone or someplace. Don't steal. This is a big one. Do not lie. Do not speak harshly. And do not chit-chat. Notice when you're chit-chatting. Notice when you're just involved in frivolous speech that's not that meaningful, right? And if you're a young person, this is going to be something that's very normal and that you have, you're spending a lot of time around, right? So what does it mean to follow this precept? This guideline for living. It's not a law. It's not a rule. It's a guideline to make use of, to be more mindful, to be more present, to be more aware, to get less lost in the dreams and more constantly awake. It means that when people start to chit-chat and when people start to get involved in frivolous speech, you know that that's frivolous speech. You know that they're just chatting. It doesn't mean that you throw a bucket of water on them and say, hey, what about Buddhism? It doesn't mean that you start arguing with them about, hey, we shouldn't talk about this stuff. What it means is that you step back and you come to that place of awareness. You come to that place of the heart mind, and you can consider how to be in that space skillfully, or how to step out of that space if it's not the right space for you, which is also good. So don't lie, don't speak harshly, and don't participate in frivolous speech. And when you know that you've spent time doing that kind of stuff, you step back and you're a little bit reflective. You're like, wait a minute, what was my state at that time? Why did I speak like that? Why did I act like that? But it's not in a intellectual way. It's in a contemplative way. You're looking at it. You're being with it, not thinking about it. The thinking is just a doorway to our being with. Number 4 is don't commit sexual misconduct, which means be very careful with your sexual energy, which means don't unnecessarily provoke your sexual energy. Okay? And also don't reject it, but for most of us, we don't have that problem. Most of us, we have the problem of perpetuating it unnecessarily, feeding it unnecessarily, okay? Or taking mental, verbal, or physical actions that relate to our sexual energy that are not skillful, that are not mindful, that are not careful, right? And we can harm ourselves, we can harm other people. So to be very, very careful with our sexual action. Do not commit sexual misconduct. Number 5, don't take drugs or intoxicants. Do not take drugs or intoxicants. Do not drink alcohol. Stop drinking alcohol. I also like to throw in with this, especially because I work with the young people, energy drinks. Don't take energy drinks. This is maybe a little bit outside the realm of intoxicants, but have a tea or have a coffee. Okay? Don't take energy drinks with like 1,000 or pre-workout, that kind of stuff, with all these chemicals and extra things. You don't know what's in it and all that sugar. That's intoxicating. Learn to simplify what you take in. More natural product. So these 5 precepts, these 5 guidelines for living, it's 5 fingers so these are 5 fingers on the palm of mindfulness. 5 fingers on the palm of present moment aware, present moment breathing. I'm in the present moment. Might not feel good, but I'm in the present moment. I'm breathing, I'm aware. And so we need to have that palm of mindfulness. And, you know, this is tough, but it's the palm of mindfulness. Yeah, I mean, do you want to have a flimsy hand or you want to have a tough hand? Okay, so it is tough. It is a little bit difficult, but we can know about it. And just to touch it now, we can develop our relationship with it slowly. Remember, so the palm of mindfulness, and then these 5 fingers of precepts: don't kill, don't steal, don't lie or speak harshly, don't commit sexual misconduct, don't take drugs or intoxicants. This is the hand of Buddha to give us a slap, to wake us up, to get us started. And, you know, we need that slap, right? Because it's a lot better than spending days after days in depression, days after days in anxiety, days after days in inactivity, inaction, days after days of just sinking into our intellect or getting into this unnecessary interpersonal drama or social drama. We need Buddha's hand nearby. Okay? And so put it on your wall, write it down, make a graphic image. AI, ChatGPT, make an AI image of, what I just described. And put it on your wall. Have these reminders. Now, that's not going to be enough. Nothing is going to be enough. That's why we need to keep showing up. We need to keep trying. It's like one breath isn't enough. 1,000,000 breaths isn't enough. Keep breathing, keep showing up, keep trying, keep reaching out, keep putting forth the effort, keep taking the action. Keep being generous, keep doing good deeds, keep being mindful, right? And this detachment, my teacher that I'm with right now, who I'm getting a lot of, support and empowerment from just by being around him, right? And being in the group, in the Sangha, is to do good deeds with mindfulness and detachment. Do good deeds is being good and doing good. So it's the 5 precepts, and then acting out. Okay, everybody knows, hey, you're acting out. And this causes a problem for yourself and for other people, right? Why do our mentors or our parents say, hey, you're acting out? This is an intervention. Because it's making a big effect on yourself and on the others. So you need to act out in terms of doing good deeds more and more. Don't think about it, get involved. Generosity is the standard to hold for your doing good deeds. You just do it. That's how you learn about it. With mindfulness means that we incorporate present moment awareness into whatever we do. We incorporate a valuation of present moment awareness, especially of the body, okay? Especially of the heart beating, the lungs breathing, the body being, the eyes seeing, the ears hearing, this natural experience. And it helps a lot if you can take some time to go for a walk in nature, right? Go outside of your room, go and walk in nature. And then you can naturally kind of be more in touch with present moment breathing, the body, the seeing, the hearing. Now, it's not about feeling good, right? To have health, to not be in pain is this great blessing. But anyway, when you're mindful, it's not about feeling good. So you put yourself out in nature, you might feel, oh, this nature is no good. That's good. Be mindful. Recognize, be aware of your mental and physical state, moment by moment. So do good deeds, be mindful, do good deeds with mindfulness and detachment. Now, this detachment is to step back and open. Step back from your friends, from your family, from your identity, from your money, from your possessions, from your lifestyle, from the political situation, from someone, someplace, sometime. Step back right now. Hands up, step back. Hands up, detach. Hands up, be mindful. Hands up, be good. I'm being good. But there's also this stepping back. And there's a lot of curiosity in that. There's a lot of intrigue in that. There's a open-heartedness in that. Okay, Nicole. We don't know. We don't know about what is going on here, my organs and my heart and my lungs. I don't know about what's going on here. It's working right now. I don't know about that. What my subconscious, my dreaming mind, my, the traumas and all the information about my pet, I don't know. Okay? The other people, the situations, the social environment, what does everybody think about me? I don't know. What's going on in France right now? What's going on in Paris right now? I don't know. Is that not important? France is important. Paris is important. Italy. What's going on in North Korea with Kim Jong-un right now? I have no idea. Only don't know. I was talking with a young Vietnamese boy today, and I was telling him to develop his relationship with not knowing, not understanding. A lot of times, and then someone was telling me, because he was a little bit shy, kind of caught up in himself, and they were saying, a lot of these kids are taught to be, kind of punished or ashamed because they don't know, they don't understand. Right? They're not in a state of knowing, and that's because of the expectation for the school system, memorization, learning, all these kinds of things. You need to develop your relationship with not knowing. I don't know. Someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, I've got a ruby in my pocket, and it's only $500, and it's the best ruby in the world." I don't know if that's true or not. Someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, Sonia, we've got to go, to save the world. You've got to come with me, and there's a social security deposit box in France that we need you to come and be involved with." You step back and say, "I don't know." Or maybe we're at school and there's a bully. We're new at school and there's some bully or some person who's very suffering and negative comes up to us and says, "Hey, you're the new kid, and you're going to have to learn that I'm the tough guy around here, and you better listen to me." I don't know what you're talking about. There's so much power in I don't know. There's so much power in I don't understand. And it's not a rejection, it's not a weakness, and it's certainly not you being submissive to the desires of other people. It's exactly the opposite. It's freedom in the midst of your own desires or fear, and freedom in the midst of other people's desires and fear, and their positions and their perspectives. It's freedom in the midst of your identity, and it's freedom in the midst of the identity that others want to give you. I don't know. And it's not this rush, it's not this attachment to get to some place, to do something. It's just open. I don't know. I don't understand. And how rich that not knowing, that not understanding is for communication, for collaboration, for creativity, for working together, for supporting one another, for dealing with serious issues that come up interpersonally, arguments, and drama or health situations, right? If we can offer that don't know mind to someone who's in the midst of sickness, if we can offer that don't know mind to someone who is in the midst of mental sickness, mental illness, right? The schizophrenic, the anxiety person, the panicked person, the angry person, the greedy person, the delusional person, I don't know, but I'm here. I don't understand, but I'm willing to listen. I don't know who you are, and I don't know what you're talking about. How wonderful it is to say that to the door-to-door salesperson or the conservative or liberal politician who's calling us to raise money for their political cause. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're talking about. For me, I have the habit to, I want to play a game with those people, right? Oh, what do you talk? Kind of lead them on, talk to them, right? To show them, oh, you don't know what's going on. To play with them, not, because there's tricking other people and deceiving them. And, it's like, hey, what are you talking about? But it's much more mature and wise and compassionate to really say to them. And at that moment, they're open because they want to get you on the hook. But just to say to them, I don't know who you are, and I don't know what you're talking about. The issue is they'll they'll try to convince you of who they are and what they're talking about, right? So that's kind of when maybe the more playful or the bodhisattva mindset comes up, right? And that's difficult. Don't get tangled up because they're skillful to do that. But just to offer them that stepping back and that opening, and then you can hang up. We're not ready to take responsibility for everybody at every place at any time. But we can be ready to offer our mindfulness, our virtue, our detachment to everyone, to no one, to every place, to no place, to every time, to no time, right now. So that is the talk for today. And we will now open up the space for question and answer or sharing experience. Okay, thank you.
Could we say that the precept Bhante and detachment and all those learning is to higher our vibration?
Sure, you can say like that. But we have to be careful to be as practical and as skillful as we can be for each case. So for some people, that kind of way of explaining it will be exclusionary for them, discouraging for them. It will put them to be the outside. What is it?
Why it would be discouraging to say higher your vibration?
Because many people don't know what that means. And also, many people are a little bit bitter about their disconnection from the spiritual roots or the virtuous roots or the contemplative roots. Yeah. So keeping things in a case by case basis and a direct basis. So, of course, it can be okay, but don't attach to that. I know exactly what you mean by that, right? And I'm sure other people do as well, and know that you mean it in a direct and clear way, right? But someone else may not understand that, and someone else may understand that, but it may not be clear about how to detach from that.
Mm-hmm.
So we should also kind of include in our sharing or in our guiding other people how to detach from what we share, how to use what we understand for mindfulness and detachment rather than just developing ourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't have to say it, but it's the result of the teaching. When we do those precepts, we have a higher vibration and we feel more love spontaneously. And some people could also maybe feel that learning, I think, is helpful because I don't think it's maybe it's fleur bleue. Yeah, maybe it's fleur bleue. Fleur bleue, it's blue flower. I don't know in English if we can say that, but maybe we don't consider those words because they're too cute, too poetic, and it's maybe that's what also something that is not I don't know, it's just a thought because we never talk about love, the real love, and it's so important.
Yeah. Um, Go ahead, Hoshi. You can use your microphone to say what you wrote to Sonia.
I've met a number of people, and I know what you're speaking of too, Sonia. It makes good sense to me. But I've met a number of people who have had upbringings with, in North America in particular, the stereotypical head in the clouds sort of parent who's they speak of things that are high minded, ideals about vibration, um, but they neglect their children in some cases, and the children grow up resenting this kind of mindset. And I'm not saying that they are synonymous. I'm not saying that because you have certain beliefs, you're going to do this. I'm saying that anyone with any set of beliefs still has whatever is their karma, is their path to go through. And as Bante says, the case by case basis. Some people are going to be violently reactive to the idea of vibrations in general. They're going to see that in almost an allergic way. Um, and so, yes, while the vibration may be there, while that may be truth for you, for them, it's a door slamming in their face. Um, yeah.
Thank you, Toshi. And Bante, thank you. I understand.
Maybe the next YouTube video, live stream, I can put, um, well, I'll change this title to Raising our vibrational frequency through the power of virtue, period, and don't get attached. Okay, thank you, Sonia.
Thank you very much. I don't know if it's a good idea to attract people. It was just more an idea from not intellectual idea. It was more a feeling idea.
Yeah. Well, depending on the situation, we can support or take care of those kind of people. Really, there's a big invitation to people on that spectrum to join for this kind of group, to connect with Buddhism, and get insight and get development. So it's great if we can attract them as much as possible. Mostly, maybe not so interested, but the few people who can come across and have an experience, that's really good. So we have a question on YouTube from our dear Sangha member Simcha. And Simcha said, "Is it ever okay to lie? Is it ever okay to lie?" The precepts are guidelines for skillful living, encouragements for virtuous behavior. So you should do your best to speak authentically, openly, wholeheartedly. You should do your best to speak clearly and to speak the truth, for sure. Don't get attached or don't get stuck to quote unquote, telling the truth. This is not a court of law, right? This is a space to, our life, right, is a space to help others and to support others. Now, when we become skillful to tell the truth, we also need to become skillful to use our words and use our experience to speak in such a way that reduces suffering for ourselves and for all living beings. Okay, hopefully that's satisfying, Simcha. And if we are attached to lying, we should fast from lying. If we are attached to quote unquote telling the truth, we should look a little bit more deeply at what is the truth rather than just telling the, going around telling the truth, because that can also be a kind of madness, right? You're a truth teller. Well, actually, no, you're just gossiping and causing problems and drama. And, actually, you're just making stuff up. You're a truth teller. So if you are attached to lying, you should fast from lying. Don't tell any more lies. Speak less, for sure. If you are attached to telling the truth and doing it a lot, right? Using your words to tell the truth a lot, you should ask very deeply, what is the truth? What is the truth? And this is a question that ChatGPT cannot quite answer. A lot of times people are asking questions that, you can you can ask to ChatGPT and it's going to give you quite a good answer, right? Especially as a beginner, especially as someone who's starting to work on the path and get involved with the path as it relates to Buddhism, the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, meditation, virtue, different aspects of Buddhist teachings. If you take that to ChatGPT and you write out a paragraph, you can even introduce yourself and say, hey, what about this? How does it apply to my life? It's going to set you up. Okay, for more subtle work, for more deep work, it is not particularly good. in terms of wisdom. In terms of materialism, in terms of desire or fear, it is very, very good, dangerously good, to where it's important for our society that ChatGPT is limited and kind of regulated. But in terms of wisdom, it's not too powerful, and that may have something to do with the limitations that they put in place for the desire side or the fear side of it. It probably does, actually. It's that when you start to cut or look for the truth, the wisdom of it, it is not very healthy to do that. It's the same for us as human beings, right? If we reject our suffering, if we reject the dark side of our heart and mind, the lotus will not be as bright. The goodness will not be as wonderful. And when we step into living this meaningful life of doing good deeds, of generosity, of offering out, of volunteering, of helping, sharing, caring, stuff starts to come up and we start to use that mud for the lotus. Go ahead, V.
Hi. I've once been told that there's never truly a cessation of suffering, but just a different way of, like, reacting to it. How do you feel about that?
Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, and I don't need to hurry. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. Somewhere to go, something to do, but I don't need to hurry. Okay, thank you, V.
Okay.
V, maybe you could help to read Aveni's question if you can find it. They say they
Yes, sir.
can't. Okay, thank you.
It's a little bit long. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
What if someone goes with the intention to help or be good and fails sometimes in action? Because, for example, sometimes one thinks that something is helpful, but it turns out to be harmful. Or what if one goes into a difficult talk with the intention to stay calm and fails?
Great. This is how we learn. This is how we grow. You know, how do you become skillful at volunteering at the homeless shelter? Well, it's not by thinking about volunteering at the homeless shelter. Okay. How do you become a good runner? It's not by being a good runner, and it's not about buying the shoes and the outfit for it. Okay. How do you detach from your possession, from your relationship, from your identity? By giving it away. Give away your body and mind. Offer it out, share it out. In this way, success is not success, and failure is not failure. Doing only, experiencing only, trying only, volunteering only, giving only. This is a freedom practice, right? So rather than Is suffering real? Does suffering really come to an end? Breathing in, know that you're breathing in. Breathing out, know that you're breathing out. Is it hot or is it cold? Go outside and find out. The whole world, everything is here, waiting for you, to teach you, to embrace you, to guide you. But you've got to step forth to experience it. Failing happens and we learn from failure. Failing is success. What's the difference between a master and a student or a disciple? Okay, Kung Fu master versus a Kung Fu beginner. The master has tried, what is the feminine of master? Are we saying that's not masculine? Because that's about as masculine as it gets, master. So what is the feminine? Mistress? No, it's not mistress. That would be, we have to Google this? Or do we have to go to the French language? Sonia, what's the feminine of master?
In French, I don't think we have right now still a word for that. Maître, maîtresse, we can say maîtresse. Yeah, we can say maîtresse. Of course. I forgot. We say at the primary school, the teacher, we say maîtresse. Mm-hmm.
This is a good question for ChatGPT as well. So, but for now, let's use maîtresse, okay? If you are the maîtresse, how did you become the maîtresse? By trying and failing 1,000,000 times. Whereas the student, the disciple, has not tried even once, is shy to try even once. Well, I can't run, so I'm not going to jog. I can't jog, so I'm not going to walk. It's too hot. It's too cold. It's the morning. It's the evening. It's the afternoon, so I can't go for a walk. It's all about failure. Success is all about failure. Failure is success. Failure is success. Of course, master is not necessarily a gendered word, but I will consult with ChatGPT and we'll see if it comes up again. We'll see if there's any more information. Oh, that's what ChatGPT said. Well, so anyone else have a question or share experience?
I actually have something recent that relates to that, and I was wondering whether to share it, but then you said the word kung fu twice, so it seems sort of serendipitous. My kung fu school does lion dancing competitions, traditional Chinese lion dance. And I've just joined their team. I'm not skilled enough to participate in the actual competitions we have coming up yet. I will be by New Year. But there was a competition this weekend that I wanted to help with if I could. And I volunteered to help to one of my instructors. And she said, well, obviously you can't dance on the team yet, but we could use someone to take social media photos. And I have a good digital camera and I'm pretty good with photography. And I said, sure, I'd love to do that. And I spent time running, to go get the camera out of storage and taking some photos for practice and things like that. I was all ready to go, but as I talked to the other instructors, what I found out was they were very uncomfortable with the idea of me taking photos of them. And in fact, would have preferred if the other instructor wouldn't have asked me to. Because they had all been sort of slammed at work lately, hadn't practiced as much as they wanted to. They were very nervous about their performance and they didn't really want the record taken. And so ultimately, I was quietly asked not to help in this way, and felt pretty bad about it for a while, actually, for both what I realized were selfish reasons, in that I wanted to help, in like an attached to being helpful way. But also because in my eagerness to do something like that, I had made all these people I respected uncomfortable and not really realized it. And then I injured both my knees at a practice just a few days ago, and it all became completely moot because I can't walk properly anyway. So I couldn't have done it in the first place. So you never know. But I feel like I can't come here and be like, here's the lesson of this story. But there are many subtle lessons that I feel I learned through this, becoming more skillful to help by my failure. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Hoshi. I had some experience with the lion dancing at the Deer Park Monastery, Thich Nhat Hanh Monastery, Deer Park in California. They do the traditional lion dance as a part of some of the Vietnamese ceremonies, the Buddhist ceremonies, but they also have the cultural aspects. So they do the lion dance. That's really tough stuff to do. That's intensive. So I can understand both sides. Okay, so let's finish for today with sharing the merit. So we can all bring our hands together and repeat after me. And merits are when we do good deeds, when we practice generosity, when we practice mindfulness, when we follow precepts, we make merits. When we endure, when we are willing to be with the present moment experiencing of body and mind, even if it feels uncomfortable, we make merit. We get the good luck from the good deed, the good effect from the good deed. And so as a Buddhist person, as a practitioner, not necessarily a Buddhist, we dedicate and share out those merits to all beings. So the good effects that we get, we dedicate and share out for all, not just to keep for ourselves. And we can say this kind of dedication together in sharing that out. So you can repeat after me. May all the merits that we have done till now be dedicated and shared out towards all sentient beings. May all the merits that we have done till now be dedicated and shared out toward all sentient beings. May all the merits that we have done till now be dedicated and shared out towards all sentient beings. May all sentient beings rejoice and share in our merits. May all sentient beings rejoice and share in our merits. May all sentient beings rejoice and share in our merits. May we all walk this enlightened path together. May it be, may it be, may it truly be. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, thank you, my dear friends, for being here with me. Stay with your path, continue. This server and this space is here to support you. And if you haven't already, you make sure you can go to www.monklife.one, and that's like a starting guide for Buddhist meditation path, recommended teachers, guided meditations, all that jazz. So please make use of it. And if you have any feedback or sharing for our community, don't hesitate to share. Thank you. See you soon. My friend